Hi, I'm Casper Ruud, and you're listening to the Functional Tennis Podcast.
Welcome to a milestone 100th episode of the Functional Tennis Podcast. I'm Fabio Molly, your host. If this is your first time listening, or you've started listening recently, or you're listening since the start, I thank you. Your support and listens means so much to Functional Tennis, so thank you very much. It's been a challenge at times getting guests every week with players and coaches traveling, poor hotel Wi-Fi, match rescheduling and more, but it's been absolutely amazing. The opportunity to speak to people in the tennis world and learn from them has helped me understand their journey better, and I hope it's helped you in even a small bit and you've enjoyed many episodes. We started episode 1 with the world junior number 1 at the time, Holger Rune, who is now making his transition to the men's tour. Today we speak to a former world junior number 1, 22-year-old Norwegian top 20 tour player Casper Ruud. Casper is a rising star in the world of tennis, and today we find out more about him, his recent great form, his junior days, training with Rafa, his love of golf, and more. Before we get started, super thanks to our podcast sponsors Slinger for their support and for giving us a Slinger bag to give away to celebrate our 100th episode. Stay tuned until the end to find out the winner. Finally, if you're new to the Functional Tennis Podcast, head over to functionaltennis.com to check out our small range of products. From the famous wooden spoon, our match journals and practice journals, our off-court and on-court hats, and the camera mount. And to celebrate this episode, we have 10% off all products when you use the code Casper, CASPER, at checkout. Okay, I'm super excited. Let's talk to Casper. Hi, Casper. Welcome to episode 100 of the Functional Tennis Podcast. Superstar on the show for this episode, so thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I know you were off last week, but the past few weeks, the great run you had, the great tennis you're playing, how are you feeling now?
Well, it feels good, obviously. I had a very good month. April and May, both months were very good for me and my tennis and the results, of course. I started the clay season this year in Marbella with the 250 event where I lost to a young Spanish up-and-comer, Alcaraz. He played very, very well and literally, just played me off the court. And, I went to Monte-Carlo thinking like, okay, now I've got going with the clay and I've got my ass beaten pretty bad. So it's time to step up a bit and hopefully do well here in Monte-Carlo. And I played another young guy in the first round of Monte-Carlo, the Danish guy, Holger Rune. I think they are the same age, so I guess those two have been, quite the kind of two ones to look up to a bit in that generation. And luckily I played a good match and was able to beat him. And then, that gave me some confidence, and beating Schwartzman also, the match after gave me even more confidence. And I knew that, I can play well and do some damage on the clay. And I just, was very focused on every match I played. And luckily I was able to win more than I lost. I did semifinal in Monte-Carlo and semifinal in Munich and also Madrid. So I did 3 semifinals in a row on the clay. And now I'm in Geneva and looking forward to the last ATP events before the French Open starts.
Fine-tune the game a little bit. But just throw back to Marbella. Somebody did say to me that they saw you in Marbella play, and you just came back you were training with Rafa at the Nadal Academy.
Yeah, no, I played Acapulco actually, and then I was injured in Acapulco. I got a small twist and quite strong pain in my wrist in Acapulco. So the plan was originally to play Miami after and then start the clay. But then I had to withdraw from, both, or I had to pull out from my match. I was going to play Zverev in the quarterfinal in Acapulco, and then I had to pull out from the tournament and withdraw and pull out from Miami as well. And I went straight to Mallorca to rebuild the wrist and take some days off because that's what I needed. It's not always too easy to treat your wrist because it's any small bones, ligaments, tendons, everything. So I had to just rest up a bit. But at the same time, I was working well on the fitness on my legs and running quite a lot and doing a lot of movements on the court to get used to the clay. And, going into Marbella, I hadn't been playing clay court since, October last year. So it wasn't too long ago. But usually I go to South America in the February or in the beginning of the season, which I didn't do this year. So I was a bit, not worried, but I was a bit, excited to see how it was going to be. And then I actually started very well in Marbella. I beat Gianluca Mager in the first round. I played a very good match, and then I came, and like I said earlier, I lost pretty badly to Alcaraz. But in Mallorca, yeah, I was training with Rafa for a couple of days, not every single day, because we both like to do other things as well, but with our own coaches and work on specific things. But we had some good sessions, and I guess that's kind of the best preparation you can have for a clay court season, to practice with him in Mallorca.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And are you more tired coming out of sessions with him rather than other people? Like, is the intensity just that much better? Concentration's that much higher? Tell us, what is it like spending? I know a lot of people spend an hour, they do small sessions with Rafa, but a few days with him. What's it feel like?
It's tough, but I think I'm not gonna say I surprised myself that I was able to recover well, but I was a bit worried, after the second, third day that it's tough to recover and get ready for a new day with the same intensity and the same pace. So I was happy with the way my body was feeling, and also the wrist, because he hits a very heavy ball, so you have to be ready, basically with everything in your body. So I was happy with the progress, and I felt good enough to go to play in Marbella with my wrist. So I was lucky that the wrist and happy that the wrist recovered well, and maybe quicker than everyone in my team thought. But training with him is something special, and especially on clay courts, it's just brutal, because he rips the ball very hard, and I would say even harder and with more pace than in his matches, because his matches he plays very heavy also, of course, probably the one who plays the heavier of anyone on the tour, but practice he goes actually even harder. So it's tough practices always with Rafa.
And do you remember the first time you practiced with him?
Yes, I do. 4 years ago now, back in 2017, I had played Davis Cup for Norway in March, April, and we finished on Saturday, the match. We lost, unfortunately. I think it was against Denmark. So we lost Scandinavian Derby in the Davis Cup. And then I jumped on a plane, or I think we finished on Sunday, actually. And I jumped on a plane from Oslo to Barcelona, slept in Barcelona that night, and flew Barcelona, Mallorca the morning after. And I went straight to the court to practice with him. So it wasn't the best
preparation
to play with him, and especially for the first time. But I think I was just so excited to be able to practice with him, and I was there for that whole week, and we went we practiced every day, but it was tough, and I still remember.
And before we move on from Rafa now, but one thing, what's the biggest takeaway you can give us from training with Rafa?
I think I said it a little bit already with the pace he puts on the ball, but his focus is extreme. Doesn't want to fool around too much, and I think it's something he's been used to doing for 15, 20 years already, because he's been strict. And Tony, his uncle who coached him for most of his life, is very strict. He doesn't like I said, fooling around. And when you're on the court, you're there to do a job, and you have to play with high intensity. So that's something also Tony has helped me a little bit with in the academy. Now Tony coaches Felix more on a part-time coaching job there. So Tony doesn't
talk to you.
coach me too much anymore, because, Felix and I are opponents. Yeah. But he still helps and comes to the court. Now that I was there after Madrid, he comes and we say hi, of course, and we all have a good relationship. But I think just the focusedness and the willingness to become better, because after everything that he has won, he still wants to improve, and is as humble as if he never won anything. So that's something that impressed me the more.
That's pretty impressive. Let's take it back a few years. You're only a young guy, so we don't have to go back too far. But from when you were a young kid, when did tennis start for you? And what was it like to have a dad who was a top 40 in the world? And plus, Norway is a bit like we're in Ireland here, where you wouldn't have had many great players over the years. So I'd say your dad must have been the best player Norway ever had. So what was it like growing up as a young kid?
Well, it was like you said, or I was lucky because my father played, and in our backyard we had a small mini tennis court, kind of like the ones you see on TV now that is or on social media that is becoming quite big, like touch tennis or what they call it. These small courts, and that was perfect for me as a kid to just get a feel of the ball. And my father was quite young when I was born. He was 26 or 27, I can't remember. So he wanted to be an active father and, play around with me. So we did other things as well, not only tennis, but tennis was obviously natural as we had the court in the backyard. And, I, even from when I could walk, he would put a racket in my hand just for fun. And then, but like I said, I did also soccer, and I played quite a bit of golf and also ice hockey in the winter. So those were the kind of the sports that I did until I was about 11 or 12. And then the passion was always bigger for tennis, even from when I was 7, 8 years old and started watching Nadal and Federer on TV. I kind of thought to myself that I also want to be on TV one day and play on the biggest courts and the biggest matches in the world. So I think it already started back then. So when I was 12, I think I chose all the other sports away, or I put them to side and to only focus on my tennis. And, I think that was the right choice. And, it was, a choice by myself. But of course, my father being a player from before, it also helped me to make this, decision. And I knew that I could get very good help from him. So, I think that's where it started. And it's been, tennis, going on ever since. And, sometimes like I said, I enjoy golf very much. And sometimes I tend to regret that I didn't choose golf, because you don't have to run as much in golf as you do in tennis, certain training days. So all in all, of course, I'm very happy with the choice I made back then.
I think golf has its own challenges, but you have an Instagram account just for your golf. What handicap are you?
Yeah, no, golf is it's so small margins, and the ball is even smaller than tennis, and the clubs are way smaller than what we play with. So the margins are incredibly small, but I enjoy golf very much. I tend to watch everything that goes on TV, and for now my handicap is 1.8, I believe, to be exact. So I played a lot last summer, and kind of was the first year since I was young that I was able to play a lot. And because usually we travel around and you don't get to play as much as you would like if you're interested. And we don't really travel with our own golf clubs to the tennis tournaments because we're there to play tennis. But every time I go to any Wells, I bring the clubs, because that's like golf paradise, and they have courses anywhere you go. So that's one trip of the year where you bring the clubs. And it's a shame that they postponed it this year, and last year wasn't any tournament at all. So hopefully I can come back to Indian Wells and enjoy some golf.
And jumping it, Rafa's a scratch golfer. Have you two had played on the golf course?
Yes, we have. And I can tell you that he beats me there as well for now. And he's a very good golfer as well. Very serious, almost more serious on the golf course than on the tennis court sometimes. So he's challenging to play, or against him or with him. You say whatever you want, but we played against each other when we played golf. We want to beat each other, even though we play together. So that's also a good fun challenge. But he plays very well and plays some tournaments there and there, and he can really hit the ball on the golf course as well.
So look, for you, after tennis, whenever that finishes up, you'd be able to give the golf tour a go. You probably will.
I don't think I'm not married yet, but because I'm young, but I think then my future wife will be angry if I tend to jump straight to a new career of traveling.
True, yeah.
Right after a tennis career. That's it's demanding enough with these years coming.
That's a good point. You may just have to move somewhere with loads of golf courses. So just getting back to junior career quickly. So were you in school? Did you graduate? How did you manage playing tennis?
Well, when I was, like I said, 12, that's kind of when we finished primary school in Norway. So we have like 1st to 7th grade. And then you have 8th to 10th grade, which is something we call like youth school, because then you're like a youth, or straight translation is to youth school. But I guess that's kind of between primary and high school for Americans or international students, or the international school system. And then in Norway, they had a very good offer where they had like an athletic school for these 3 grades, where the teachers were also our fitness coaches and fitness trainers. So every day we would do 1.5 hour fitness in school time, and they would also teach us things in class. So I enjoyed those 3 years. And, when you're young, you don't necessarily need to start doing too much specific fitness things only for tennis. I think it's smart to build your body, to get a good all around physique. And that's something, that school helped me with. We went out on bike rides. We went climbing in trees, we went running, we went playing soccer, or we would do many different things. And I think that was something I really enjoyed. And other athletes were there as well who were dreaming big and wanted to become good in their sports. So that was a very good environment and something that helped me a lot. And then after those 3 years, we started high school, 3 years, and I did 2 out of those 3 years. The plan was to finish everything and graduate, but when I was starting my last year, the last year of high school, I won a challenger in Spain. So that made me go from 500 to 250 in the ranking. So then everything kind of became even more serious for me and was even tougher. I would travel more. I would play more challenger events, and I felt that school could wait, but the tennis couldn't really. So I wasn't able to graduate from high school, but it was close. So if I need to, I will have to do it in a later time.
Brilliant. And how old were you when you stopped playing junior tournaments?
Competing was always in my blood, and I could already feel when I was young and in primary school, if we would have like gymnastics in class and we would play what's called dodgeball or something with the class, I would go nuts to try to win, and my other classmates would be pretty angry and upset with me because I had such a not the killer instinct, but I always wanted to win, and I would rub it in the face of if we won, and I would rub it in the face of the losing team. I wasn't doing it too bad, but I had sometimes some classmates coming up to me, saying that I was living too much into it. But I was always, wanting to win, and I had that mentality to try to win. So even also when I was playing, when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, it was always important for me to try to win because I kind of had it in my blood. And when I played 1 or 2 Tennis Europe under 12 tournaments just to, get a feel of what other kids were like. But then it's tough because I wasn't too big, but then you can play someone that is, 20 centimeters taller than you and you just serve you off the court. And then, we decided to go more for the under 14 circuit in the Tennis Europe. So my last year of under 14s, I played a lot because, it was a good environment. I think many kids traveled around those years and really wanted to compete against each other. And you had the European Championships in the summertime, which was kind of the biggest tournament in the year for the Europeans at least. And also some of the tournaments like Le Petit, I remember, where the Americans came and the Koreans and everyone kind of met to play there.
How did you do?
I think I lost first or second, so I didn't do too well. And then you had one big tournament in Paris. I can't remember the name, but like a grade A or grade 1. I can't remember exactly what the grades and everything were. It's been some years. But yeah, and then by that year, I was able to reach top 10 in the Tennis Europe ranking, which was, a big achievement for me. And after that, I took a year completely off from traveling and tournaments to just build, my physique and my game. And because I'd been traveling 25 weeks that year and playing tournaments. So me and my father, sat down and said that he thought it would be good for me to sit down and grow a little bit, both physically and playing wise, and to kind of build my game, because I think those years are very important when you're, let's say 12, 13 till you're 18, 19. Those are the years where you build your style, you build your game, your physique. So we saw some of the kids that were traveling a lot under 14s. They went straight to the ITF junior events where it's under 18s. And, some of them did well and was able to get some points and everything, but we didn't stress with that. So we took a whole year out from tournaments basically and trained a lot and good hours, putting many hours on court and a little bit in the gym as well. And then the year after I started with ITF junior tournaments. So I kind of traveled a lot for 1 year, and then I took, like I said, a week off, or not a week, but a year off traveling to really build my style. And I think that was a good recipe.
It must have worked because you became the world #1 junior.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So that was also a big achievement for me. And I was unfortunately never able to do too well in the slams, but I won some grade 1s and a grade A in Japan, and was able to get to the #1 spot. So that was a nice achievement, and, gave me motivation to continue and to try to take it, to the ATP step and the men's circuit.
What would you prefer, senior Roland Garros slam or a junior one?
The slams were big in the juniors, that was kind of what all the juniors talked about, and very understandable. Everyone wanted to try to win the slam. That's kind of the biggest we have in the men's circuit as well, obviously. And for the juniors, I think it's even more, not going to say even more pressure, because in the men's, it's, the ultimate thing to win. But I didn't stress too much about never winning a junior slam, but yeah, the number one ranking was fun. You just had it on paper that you were number one, and it will always be there that I was number one in the juniors. So that was a nice achievement. Yes.
No, it's unbelievable. But your breakthrough you've made has been pretty quick. Like your top 20, I know the rankings are a bit different this week. But for you, what was the secret? I know you've been playing pro tournaments for about 7 years now, but what for you has been key that you've been able to make that breakthrough? Other junior Grand Slam winners could be still at 500-600 in the world now. But for you, where do you see as being your advantage to be able to break through?
I think that if you look at the way I play or my game, it's I've tried to play heavy ball. I try to play with good intensity, and I've always been that player who is more on this, the hardworking side than maybe the flashy big shot kind of player. And I'm happy with that way of playing. And I think, honestly, just putting in, hard work. Like I said, that 1 year when I was home, that was, a tough year for me because I didn't get to play too many tournaments, and I was working very hard every week. So I think I'm kind of more that player than the one, like I said, who does the drop shots and the tweeners and the flashy players. So, and I'm happy with that. You will always face, tough moments on the way up and some doubts. But I think the biggest, change or thing that I've improved now, and I think one of the bigger reasons that I have been able to do well the last year, especially with this, the jump in the rankings, is that, I believe more in myself, and I believe more that I belong in these spots, and to fight for the biggest titles is something that you kind of dream of when you're young, but it's tough to believe that it's actually can happen until, you get some good results. And, it's something that takes time to build up. But I think now I have, a good confidence, and I have a good belief in myself that I can be here for many years, hopefully, and also even higher. And have that confidence is key on the tennis court, because if you don't have confidence on the court, there's many things that can go wrong. But if you're there with your chin up and have confidence, it also shows the opponent that, this guy is here to play. And I think that's something that is not too much talked about, but for me has been very important.
Yeah, no, the whole part where you say you believe, you should be here. I think it's really interesting, because I'm sure a lot of people struggle to believe they can be there.
Yeah.
Last question. Your dad, have you played him in a match recently?
Oh, not recently, but I'm gonna go back to then that year where we stayed home. We had a small, let's say, competition where he was only 40, I think 43 or 42, 43 years old. So he was still in quite good shape. He doesn't play as much anymore. He's almost 50 now, so that's understandable. But we had this bet that we would play one set every week, or one match every week, either Saturday or Sunday usually. And I think we had some small bet in it that's like, if I lost 6-0 or 6-1, I would have to give him like €5 or something. And then if it was 6-2, it would be neutral. And per game, like, I would get more than 6-2. I think I would get like €1 per game. So we had like a quite good and small bet that would, he would motivate me to try to do well and try to beat him. And he would also have motivation to beat me, and beat me off the court and keep in shape. But then after couple of matches, I was able to actually beat him, and then I think that surprised him and surprised me as well. But he didn't play well, so I kind of felt like I got it a bit too easy. It was 6-3, 6-3 or something like this, and he played a very bad match. So it didn't really feel like I earned it that much. But since then, we didn't play too much. Since I was 15, we played some points starting from under with feeding, and playing some points to 10 or 21 and these things. And he could still play and challenge me well until I was 18, 19, 20. But now he has no chance, to be honest. And that's not that's not me being
I know.
arrogant, but he didn't play too much lately, and now he's unfortunately has no chance.
I'm sure you remember the first time though when the current changed
Yeah,
and you were the boss then.
it was a good feeling. Yeah.
For any kid, the first time they beat their coach, like maybe you're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you beat your coach. It's a big momentous occasion. But no, Casper, thanks a lot for your time here. Really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward to, you're only a young guy, as I mentioned, to following your journey over the next weeks, years ahead. And I wish you all the best of luck in Roland Garros.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the podcast and the talk.
I hope you enjoyed that chat with Casper. I certainly did. He's super nice, and we're definitely going to see so much more of him in the future. So really exciting. Now on to the Slinger Bag winner. First of all, thank you very much for all those who entered. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the tags and shares. The lucky winner who was chosen randomly is Aram Kosherine. He's a tennis coach based in Germany. We'll include a link to his Insta profile on the podcast page on our website, and we'll also send him a message to arrange delivery. So congrats, Aram, and can't wait for you to get the Slinger Bag. It's a cool piece of tech. And finally, a final mention to our new listeners to check out our site at functionaltennis.com, to check out our small range of products, from the famous wooden spoon, our match and practice journals, our on and off court hats, and the camera mount. And as I mentioned previously, to celebrate, we've 10% off all products when you use the code Casper. I'll be back next week to kick off our next 100 episodes. Thank you all, and goodbye.